I'll take it. It's up and running. So yeah. Good evening, everyone. I am McMaster. Alongside me, um, alongside me today is Juice. Today we're going to be casting for you a 1v1 tournament sponsored by the Army National Guard. Thank you for making this happen. By students through Skillquest who have learned to program Python throughout the course of this fall semester, and it is all culminating, or all the work is culminating right here into a 1v1 tournament in the game of Rocket League. Juice, how are you doing this evening, my man? You got experience with
Yeah,
this?
absolutely. I'm really excited to watch the matches. Again, my name is Juice. I'm Sergeant Flores in the Texas Army National Guard. Super happy to be able to, see the students work through this program. Uh, to have a student with no, coding experience learn Python from scratch and then program their own bot within Rocket League, it just sounds, amazing, and it's gonna be fun, right, to watch. So a quick note on that, right? I believe we only have a few students submit because this is kind of early on. There's going to be another event in December where that's the actually final culminating event. So this is kind of all the students that finished the course a little bit earlier. So we're going to get a sneak peek of that final event. So I'm looking forward to seeing how their bots perform, and then also even seeing later.
Great time. They all started from ground zero, and it is an 8-person bracket, a best of 3 for all matches up until the grand finals, which will be a best of 5. We've had 2 matches played out thus far. We had our number 1 seed, Dr. Cheddar, face Bob, and Dr. Cheddar beat the 8 seed Bob earlier on, and then Zero Brain Cells was the 2 seed up against the 7 seed BA Bot, and Zero Brain Cells won as well. Those two bots have already advanced on into the tournament. Our first match of the evening is between Cool Bot and Great Car, the 4 and 5 seeds. Honestly, this is the first for me. Again, you know all about this. Predictions possibly between the two bots from you, Juice?
I'm gonna have to go with Cool Bot. I mean, they both have great names, but Cool Bot just seems cool. So that's where I'm going to put my money on.
Fair enough. All, albeit, it is all about the bot being cool, calm, and collective today. Hopefully, the Great Car is able to put on a great performance for us. And for those of you who may be tuning in who don't know what Rocket League is, in essence, car soccer. There will be one car on each half of the field as the game starts up, or as the ball is put into play, and the goal is to take the ball from just take the ball and score it into the net. So that the players have learned how to program each bot into, from standing still to moving to being able to collect boost, which is a way of speeding up your vehicle, and properly reading which direction the ball is going. It's very in depth, very competitive, and I'm excited to get into the first match of the day.
Yeah, and like you were saying, McMaster, the students had to program exactly what the bot is going to do and how it, reacts to, if the ball's going towards the net, do they grab boost, then go defend the ball, or do they just go straight to defend the ball, right? All these different little decisions that they had to program in there is pretty fun.
We are into game number 1. Off kickoff, the ball had been sent high into the ceiling. It's dropped back down. Great Car currently playing back a very passive position. Coolbot's going to take a strong shot towards net. It's not quite on target to start things out, but Coolbot is definitely staying on the offensive. The ball's just actually going to dribble unless Great Car is able to make contact. He is not able to, and Coolbot is going to walk it on in for the first of today's matchup.
Yeah, and something interesting here, as soon as the kickoff happened, it looked like Great Car immediately was programmed to go into defensive position, right? But unfortunately kept on still spinning in place, so maybe that might have to be an adjustment that the programmer will have to make later. But let's see if, that defensive approach does help, and the bot does get a decent clear.
It's going to be interesting to see. Coolbot so far has looked pretty confident, if you will, around the ball, looking to get around it and possibly dribble it over towards the net. He's actually taking it all the way up towards the ceiling, and it has a bit of control in the air. Coolbot with some pretty advanced things to start things out, while unfortunately on the side of Great Car, it has been sitting in the net and spinning back and forth. Coolbot is in search of another shot, but doesn't quite have it. Great Car simply circling in front of that nut has not the contact he's been looking for, while Coolbot basically has the freedom to pursue the ball and end up taking shots if so allotted.
Yeah, at first I thought Coolbot was gonna go for a ceiling shot, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. However, here it looks like we might be in a little bit of a loop, potentially, which is kind of funny, but also again, like right, these students are learning how to program the bot and from scratch. So this is probably they're gonna go back and troubleshoot of like, oh shoot, I forgot to put it in an offensive mode, right? So it can go and attack the ball. So Kubo has been doing great overall until we got caught in this loop. So honestly, I'm actually going to be curious as to how do you troubleshoot this? Like, do you go back and look at the VOD and say, had at this exact second, what happened in the code, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. You know significantly more about Python than I do. I know much more about the game of Rocket League itself. But yeah, when you run to this situation of the ball falling away per se, or when Great Car retreated back towards net, what would be that next task you would look to incorporate into the said programming to where you could correct the course of action?
Yeah. So on this one, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because both of these bots can make one complete bot, right? One is playing more defense and one is playing more offense. So somewhere along the way, if maybe they team up and share their code with each other, it'd be pretty funny. But here, unfortunately, they're stuck in that loop, and that's why whenever you program anything, you always want to test as many times as possible and find these things before they actually happen in person, which in and of itself is a massive lesson, right? And this
Hmm.
can be used for production, for of course programming or writing your own code is you test it before it goes out into production. However, this is this is a good lesson learned, and everybody starts somewhere, right? So this is actually pretty neat to experience. We're all experiencing it together.
Absolutely agree. And I mean, assuming one of these is unable to break the loop, I'm guessing, we've been in this now a couple minutes. It's probably going to be that this is just how it is. Coolbot's going to end up walking away with a 1-0 shutout to start things out. We got to see a small preview of these two cars beforehand, and Coolbot had success on offense prior. It had not fallen into this loop beforehand. And now we're going to end up having a 1-0 series lead for Coolbot. Your prediction right now is looking to be spot on.
I picked Coolbot because of the name, not because of the very brief preview that we saw, by the way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, but obviously, just as you said, the students are going to see this, and you're going to, this is problem solving 101. They're going to have to see what exactly went wrong at what time, and then try to figure out where in their string of programming the bots have found this little loop that they have fallen into. It's interesting to think about, and it'll definitely help them out in terms of preparation for that December event you were talking about earlier. Now, when it comes to that December event, how does that differ exactly from the event that we are currently holding today?
So there will be more students that are done with the class itself, and they'll have more time to again, pit their bot against other bots and troubleshoot and find fix these small little flaws, because obviously when you're programming, it's never perfect right off the get-go unless you're amazing, right? But with everything, you keep on refining version over version. And one of the things here that we're seeing, right, is they're caught in this loop. But one of the basic things that they program is the directions, right? What does the bot do whenever the ball is on whatever side of the field, right? Maybe they have to add that in there, that hey, once the ball goes over to like the blue side, which is Coolbot's side, hey, Coolbot, go and get in the net and stay in a defensive posture, right? Same
Hmm.
thing for Great Car. Hey, go on offense, hit the ball into the net, right? So that's maybe something that they need to add on there. But seeing it live is, although it might look silly, right? Just going in circles, these are all learning experiences, right? So for every student who hasn't submitted their bot, hey, it's okay, right? These things happen, and that's how the version 1 of your bot goes to 1.2, 1.3. Then you go to version 2, and now all of a sudden your bot's so much better than it was before, and that's rewarding, right? You're continuously improving your bot.
It is, and I mean, from what I saw, at least on the offensive side of things, Coolbot did have very solid contact with the ball when it got into very specific situations. So you can see on the offensive side of things, Coolbot has had some successful programming on its side of things. Now, Great Car we're seeing retreat back to the net, and Coolbot is going to end up circling away towards the wall. But now it's not in that loop anymore, and he's looking to circle underneath the ball. You can see that Coolbot does have some pretty good control circling around the ball. I'm just curious as to whether or not it'll end up cycling back for a boost or not. It looks like Great Car is back into that defensive loop, but Coolbot's going to take a shot towards net. Great Car has to get back. He cannot in time. Coolbot's got an early lead once again.
Yeah, and that was great there. I'm wondering if the loop it got stuck in earlier was because it couldn't decide on boost or not. But right there with the Great Car being in a defensive position, it's like when you play ice hockey or not air hockey. Sorry, you know how you're always moving, you're trying to block the puck back and forth. Maybe that's the approach that Great Car went into, is that they're constantly moving across the net to potentially, make contact with the ball as it comes in. Because right there, like we saw, it almost made contact and got that save, but, Coolbot was able to, sneak that shot in.
Yeah, and to program Coolbot in a way to where, it's flipping into the ball with good control. It's landing very evenly on all of its wheels. It's attempting these powerful shots. It's pretty advanced right now what it is doing. This is even a little bit beyond what your standard beginner level Rocket League looks like. It's playing quite well and quite smoothly, especially, all being on offense. When it comes to Great Car, if it's going to get any goals, I'm guessing it's going to have to be right off kickoff. Hopefully a good bounce for it can go on through, but right now Coolbot's just taking the ball around the field, honestly, kind of exploring all ends of it, if you will, and looking for those ceiling shots potentially. If it were able to collect boost, I'm actually curious as to whether or not it would utilize boost in the air to try to attack the ball, assuming it was full.
Yeah, and again, as these students are able to play with their bot a bit more and refine a lot of things, we'll start seeing the bot basically getting more advanced as the student learns more.
Absolutely, and this will be a good time for Great Car to, go ahead and take a look back and see what it can do. But now that Coolbot has collected that boost, it has found its way into that loop again. I'm wondering whether or not it is boost collection, because it had collected that corner last time around as well, and then got into this loop once again. The ball being all the way downfield, I'm not sure if it's going to quite trickle into the back, and then that would be great for Great Car, but it is just going to roll off of the post. Extremely close, but with that escaping the net ever so slightly, it will likely be another win for Coolbot, taking a quick 2-0 sweep.
Yeah, and with a loop happening in the exact same location, I wonder if it's just that quadrant of the map. That, hey, if you're in this corner, what do, right? And maybe the bot only knows, drive forward, turn left, and it just gets stuck in that loop. Because again, it's in the same area as it was previously, so it's got to be something with the location, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, and I'm wondering, when it comes to the students that are programming these, would students who maybe are familiar with Rocket League or possibly have experience with it in the past, would they have an advantage when it comes to programming, or is it those who understand the programming just a little bit better who may have an advantage? It's an interesting thought. I'm not sure if the two students have experience with the game itself or not, but regardless, Coolbot is going to end up taking this win. Both students are going to look back, see exactly what went wrong, and go ahead and refine things from then to prep themselves for that December event.
Yeah, and again, this is all it's always a learning experience, right? How do you improve from this? Because one of the things that whenever we play the game and the regular in-game bots are doing these things, when you're programming this, you have to take into account every scenario that you can think of, right? So maybe when they made this, they didn't think of the scenario of like, hey, what if it gets stuck in a loop? Is it, hey, after you've been doing this for a certain amount of time, then you do another process to just go back to the net and reset maybe, right? So these are again, right? You need to find out, hey, if the ball is in this quadrant or it crosses over half the field onto your side of the field, hey, do what Great Car is doing, right? Go to the net and play defensively. So these are all, very interesting things to, consider. And realistically, right, there's a lot of things that go into this, right? So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely correct. I've never even thought about the number of variables that Rocket League would have between trajectory of the ball, speed of it, the halves, boosting towards the ball, flipping towards it. I've been playing Rocket League for however many years, casting it for not quite as long as I've been playing, but still for a good amount of time. And I guess I've never quite thought about, the subconscious thoughts that would go on in my brain that would have to be written out fully in a proper programming format to execute that onto a field of play as well, where you're completely hands-off and the bot quite literally has a mind of its own on that point in time. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, and here, one of the things that they do have to program in there is, when to engage, when to disengage. So, hey, if they make a shot, they're low on boost, you tell your bot, hey, if you're under 50% or 30% boost, go for that 100, right? Or, you
Hmm.
get your little penny pads, right? 12 boosts at a time. But if you're like me, you're at 80 boost, I'll turn back around and get that 100 boost. My teammates hate it, but that's something I'd program in my bot for fun, just because that's something I like to do. But it's every little variable comes into play, so it's really neat seeing it here, and I'm curious to see what other bots, how far they are, or maybe if they do come into this loop again, or maybe they did program that, hey, if you're stuck in a loop, disengage, reset, go back to your net, right? So I'm curious to see that from the other bots.
And with that being said, right now all of the top seeds have advanced so far. Number one, Dr. Cheddar had beat number eight, Bob 2-0. Now Coolbot takes it as the 4 seed over the 5 seed Great Car. Zero Brain Cells beat BA Bot as the 2 seed over the 7 seed to go ahead and advance the second round. The last first round match we have is between Jerry and Gingy Bot, the number 3 seed and the number 6 seed. Winner moves on to face Zero Brain Cells. I'm not sure if the pattern is going to be held here regarding the top seed or not. It'll be interesting to see, and I'm interested to see whether or not the students in this upcoming match or in the following matches either fall into that same loop or have been able to troubleshoot and avoid them.
Correct. And then, once we see, Coolbot go up against Dr. Cheddar, maybe Dr. Cheddar does something that makes the bot, hey, now the opposing bot is moving towards my net, so now I have to go play defense. Maybe that was written in there, right? Or maybe Coolbot didn't anticipate that Great Car was just going to be stuck in a loop playing defensive the entire time, which could be a strat in and of itself, right? Maybe you just throw them off. So it's a couple things. It's almost like you're setting like little traps. Just maybe I'm thinking too far into it, but that would be really cool to program. And again, the name choices beautiful. Zero brain cells. It's a bot. It has no brain cells, right? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a quite literal name, but I mean, it looks like it has some based on the 2-0 showing that I had earlier on in the day. It doesn't have its match quite yet. It has to figure out which bot it is going to be facing next. Again, Jerry and Gingy bot coming up. We're going to go ahead and get the match set up. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes to decide what the top four is officially going to shake up to look like. Jerry and Gingy bot coming up soon.
chewing on a little snack as we wait for, our next matches to go live. So really quickly, as we were taking a look at the bracket, we do have Dr. Cheddar versus Coolbot. Looking forward to seeing Coolbot, maybe break out of that loop, and maybe, if it has another bot that's actually going in the offensive, it might trigger that, right, to get out of that loop. And we're still waiting for the winner between Jerry and Gingibot.
Yeah, and that match we're deciding next right here. Gonna be a really interesting match. Number 3, Jerry. Number 6, Gingibot. So far, the pattern that we've seen through 3 rounds is that the top seed has been the winner through the last few rounds. We have the number 1, number 4, and number 2 seeds. Only Jerry is left in order to break that possible run. It's going to be an interesting style. Going to see whether or not these bots fall into the same or similar loops that that Coolbot and Great Car did. It'll be interesting to see. But the game is underway. Sorry if I kick off. We do have both bots actually starting with flips into the ball. And Jerry, even with the backflip, a little bit different, pinching the ball off the wall, immediately pace picking up a little bit as Jerry's going to take it across from his own net. Jumping off the wall, collecting the corner boost. This is Jerry right now looking very strong to start off the match. Even has an open net. Doesn't quite have the angle as it rims out of the post. But I'm quite impressed with what I've seen up until this point.
Yeah, so a lot of these shots are actually really impressive when you sit back and understand that, hey, this bot's behaving on its own and a student programmed this. And they just started the course this semester. So it's impressive. Like, even getting excited some of these shots, oof, close. Is just as if I made my own bot, I'd feel super cool right now. Like, it's getting there, right? It's evolving.
Absolutely, it is, and it was nice to see a little bit of aerial play for the first time too. It's lining up pinches on the backboard. That one being an extremely strong one, while Gingibot seems to be caught possibly in a loop around the midfield line. Jerry has a couple opportunities. The shooting accuracy hasn't been there. However, just about everything else has. Another accidental touch off of the post, but being willing to jump off of the sidewall, collecting boosts as he goes, getting stronger hits, pinching the ball into the wall. I mean, again, this is past what a standard beginner Rocket League player would have, all in a bot that was programmed by one of the students for Skillquest. It's extremely impressive to start things out. Just waiting to see whether or not Gingibot is able to break out of that loop, or if Jerry is able to come around and end up taking it into the goal.
Yeah, and it looks like Jerry just, it's only a matter of time before that ball goes in. Having the power, the pinches, it's getting closer and closer. So, here over the next 3 minutes, I'm more than sure that, a goal will be made by Jerry. It just gets closer and closer. The aerial action, that's cool. Oh, nice. Got a little touch right there. That's cool.
Beautiful stuff from Jerry early on. Unfortunate for Gingibot. He just got stuck in that midfield line. But Jerry is able to ever so lightly drop it on through. It took a couple minutes, but Jerry has been having some great action this far. Accurate touches. The one pinch in particular off the backboard that he slowed down for, didn't use boost. That is what caught me to start things off. That is what was most impressive for me.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and I'm hoping we get a write-up on, what causes these loops. Is this like the most common issue? Some of these, oh my goodness, that almost blew up in Jerry's face right there, just passing it straight into the car. Wow, the shot, the flip into the shot, catching it off the bounce, that's some pretty advanced stuff right there.
Extremely much. I mean, the aerial control to be able to jump up and then programming the flip to not just flip forward, but actually make contact specifically with the corner of the ball. For those who have not played, the strongest contact you can make with your car onto the ball is when you hit it specifically with the corner of your car, the front corner to be specific. So Jerry is making not just good contact and strong contact, but hitting it properly with the right side of the car too. Everything right now looks to be extremely strong. He's able to keep the ball out of the net as well. Gingibot out of the loop now, so it seems, but Jerry's going to end up taking it back downfield. Gingibot doesn't quite have the touch. Jerry going to dribble that on through for a convincing 3-0 lead.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think too, right? So Jerry, drives the ball, back to their net, and then pinches it off the wall, kind of like creating its own pass, if you will. Instead of dribbling all the way around, it's just default is pinch, so it crosses the other half of the field, and then it begins its offensive push.
Yeah, and Jerry right now, it doesn't even matter what side of the field he's on. It's all about staying close to the ball and making good contact when it is available. That one being another example of it with the front flip forward to just give the ball enough momentum, swinging it over towards the goal line. What initially took 2 minutes for Jerry to, capitalize upon has very quickly become 4 goals in less than 60 seconds. It's going to be interesting to see if Jinji is able to break out of this loop and end up turning things around. But right now, all control is in favor of Jerry. He's even going to collect that corner, or excuse me, he goes right around the corner boost, but he's just keeping the ball nice and close and is making good contact seemingly at every single opportunity. That's going to end up being a 5th as well. My apologies. Just a little inaccurate on the shot. But, I mean, everything up until this point has been extremely strong for Jerry.
Yeah, it seems like Caster Curse also works on bots themselves, so no one is safe. Oh no, the own goal? Ooh.
Jerry's just too precise for that. Jerry is just too precise for that. He's going to bring it on back down. Quick sigh of relief for the programmer as well, as Jerry buries that one on home. 5 goals through this point in the game. Jerry is honestly killing it, and while he was very close to an own goal, that might be something to look at in terms of programming. Possibly angling the car to avoid certain parts of the field when it comes to making contact with the ball. That's something that's definitely deep level stuff. But I mean, the programmer for Jerry has shown that they are up to the challenge, especially just seeing the style of touches that Jerry has had through this point in time.
Yeah, and in some of our notes here, they do state that most learners, they just simply program the car to just hit the ball towards the opponent's net. So anything else outside of that means that the student kind of wrote that in of, if you do this and do that, for every kind of, again, every variable, every scenario. So I'm excited to see, how much better Jerry the bot can get, because this is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success, through this point in time. 7 goals within the last 2 minutes. It's dominant for Jerry, and I mean, assuming nothing changes in game number 2, it looks like we are going to see all of the higher-seeded bots move on into that top 4 position. And again, this is basically a precursor, if you will, to the event that's going to happen later in December, while the students still have, just under a month, or right around a month, excuse me, to sharpen things up even further. Jerry looks extremely strong, and I can only imagine how much more, how much more strength could be programmed into Jerry's code.
Yeah, and again with Jerry, like those flips, getting all that power behind the ball, putting it exactly, where the net is. That's pretty impressive. So I'm really curious to see it, go against a bot that's even of similar, programming level, right? But again, like you mentioned, the students do have another month before the final, event, right? The final tournament. So who's to say, right, that, Jinji might be the winning bot, right? Kind of sees this and it's like, oh shoot, maybe I just messed up one line of code, and you fix that, little error there, and then all of a sudden, you have a better bot.
Correct, and I mean, we're seeing a lot of very good things from Jerry, but what we haven't seen, at least on this stream so far, are the number 1 and 2 seeds, Dr. Cheddar and Zero Brain Cells. I'm very curious as to whether or not they perform at a similar level, if they even perform at a higher level. It's going to be very interesting to see. All I know is Jerry right now looks very strong, and, I mean, with 20 seconds left, it is academic from here on out. The time's going to end up ticking on down. Jerry's going to take this win and move on with a 1-0 game lead. Hopefully, Gingy able to break out of that loop in the second game off of kickoff. Or maybe, if Jerry dribbles the ball straight at it, maybe Gingy can have a little bit of luck in terms of, the ball being passed right to it and be able to connect with a solid shot.
Yeah, which we almost saw too, right? It almost happened. Now, it looks like, every match that we have been watching and casting, the bot level keeps on getting better and better. So I'm excited to see that number 1 and 2 seed match, and then seeing how Jerry compares to those. Right? I think we're in for a really good treat.
It's going to be extremely interesting. Jerry has been extremely strong. I haven't seen any loops. I haven't seen any mishaps. I've seen the ball being kept close. Flips into the ball for more power. Pinches with the backboard is an extremely high. That is a much higher level concept. Yeah. For bots or Rocket League players, humanoid or otherwise, pinches are definitely an in-depth concept that, players who have been playing for quite some time aren't even able to have as strong of a pinch as Jerry did last game along the backboard. He's going to continue his reign of dominance with an early 9-second goal. I mean, you obviously, again, I'll reiterate this as long as the stream is going. You have more experience in Python than I do. When it comes to Jerry and, having witnessed what Jerry has done well so far, is there anything in particular about Jerry's coding that, might be more special or more in-depth compared to other programs? Like, what has allowed Jerry this high level of success up until this point?
Yeah, and like I stated earlier, right, it's, the student took, more variables into account of like, hey, if this happens, then, do this. And like, going for pinches, setting itself up for passes is pretty neat. So like right here, we see that, hey, run it up the backboard essentially, and then, kind of, oh, wait a second.
And Jerry's programmed Jerry is programmed to say what a save if he own goals. That is incredible. That is unreal. I can't believe I'm seeing. They didn't just program the bot well, but they programmed Jerry to use a quick chat of what a save if it were to own goal. That is outrageous, and I love it.
Yeah, that is just whoever the programmer is, chef's kiss. That is a mint, beautiful detail.
What a great little touch, and Jerry's just gonna take it immediately on the backflip touch, a perfect little bicycle kick, if you will. I mean, it was interesting seeing Jerry put it into his own net, but I love the humor behind the extra quick chats being thrown upon stream by Jerry via own goaling. That is spectacular. As you said, chef's kiss, whatever adjective or whatever you want to use to describe that little touch, it is absolutely beautiful. And probably a correct adjective at that, is Jerry's just going to keep on continuing with this lead. Programmed very, very well. And all props to the student. I'm excited to see, whether or not Jerry's able to compete well with the 2 seed Zero Brain Cells moving into the top 4, or what exactly the programmer for Jerry can end up changing or altering to make it even stronger come December.
Yeah, and that's great because, the student did have to at some point say, you know what, if I own goal, I'm going to spam what a save, because that would be funny. And then actually seeing it in action, that's got to be a great feeling. So kudos to you, Jerry's programmer. That is awesome. Now, we did get a note here from production. It looks like if Jerry goes up to 5 goals, we're going to go ahead and kind of mercy rule it so we can get on to the following matches.
That makes sense. Now, I guess my only question would be, would it have to... It says 5-0 in our own little chat per se, but Jerry or GingyBot does have that one goal forwarded to it by Jerry. What would be really funny is if Jerry actually own goaled again, so the match does have to continue. I would be quite entertained by that, but ultimately Jerry has been programmed extremely well. GingyBot might actually circle back and get a touch. Oh, not quite. Jerry is going to end up getting a shot towards net. It trickles in off the post. That is 5-1. I'm not sure if this is going to be where we end up calling it or not, but Jerry is definitely in control of this match, and the programmer has done a fantastic job of doing so.
Something neat that I hope somebody adds is that, once you score, you just have your card do kind of like a turtle, right? That just falls on its hood. On its roof. That'd be kind of like a fun little celebration after the goal.
Absolutely, it would be, and I believe that Jerry had the. I believe Jerry's programmer actually programmed a celebration. I believe naturally the car is going to stand still. Jerry's programmer actually programmed Jerry to spin while celebrating a win, and that at 6-1 is going to be where we're going to mark this game. It is going to be a 2-0 to Jerry, dominant at that. But next, we're going to have Dr. Cheddar and CoolBot. It's going to be interesting. I haven't watched Dr. Cheddar. I haven't seen that bot play at all. We got to see CoolBot a little bit ago. And CoolBot had that one loop. It got stuck in the corner. I'm interested to see whether or not that will return or not. And it's going to be a very interesting match as we have our top 4 set in stone.
Yeah, I'm curious to see Jerry go up against another bot that is out of the loop to kind of see how, what's Jerry's defense look like? Obviously, we saw that the offense, right? He can pinch the ball, send it across the field, put it on target, right? And even get some powerful shots. But how will it behave once it has to play defense against another bot that might be at the same level? So now I really want to see kind of like the evenly matched bots go head to head, because it's going to be interesting, right? You're literally just, here's my bot, just go and execute, and hopefully, my programming is better than my opponent's. So as the programmer, whoever sent in Jerry, again, kudos. Nice little, I don't even want to call it an Easter egg, right? But that's super thoughtful, right? That, hey, we own goal. If my bot own goals, I'm just gonna want to save and roast itself essentially.
Yeah, it's been great programming, Jerry. To move on, we have our top four, and it is all the top four seeds. Coolbot at the 4 seed will take on Dr. Cheddar at the 1 seed. Coolbot being programmed out of Wisconsin, from out of the city of Appleton, from Fox Valley Lutheran. Dr. Cheddar, same exact location. Appleton, Wisconsin at Fox Valley Lutheran. And they actually take up 3 of the top 4 spots, Jerry being the only one outside of that group from Appleton and from Fox Valley Lutheran specifically. So we kind of have a dominant run from the Fox Valley Lutheran students. Jerry being programmed by a student in Burnsville, Minnesota, from Burnsville High School. It's going to be very interesting to see how the game shakes up. We do now officially have the game starting between Coolbot and Dr. Cheddar. Should be a fantastic match. I'm interested to see, what exactly Dr. Cheddar has in store, as Coolbot was programmed obviously a little bit differently, and we are going to see quite an advanced match from here on out. It's been a great start from Dr. Cheddar as the shot goes towards net, and Coolbot's got no boost. Dr. Cheddar will have the first to start out this game.
Yeah, and I love how Dr. Cheddar, it seems like programmed very aggro. So initially it flipped forward but missed the ball slightly, and it just, Cheddar's just going to go for those, powerful shots. So right there, he didn't give the other bot a chance to really dribble or position itself. It just immediately went on the offensive, which is awesome.
And this time circling back, grabbing a boost pad. Coolbot's going to actually win the race to the ball. It's going to head over towards the blue side of the field. It'll roll slightly up the backboard. Dr. Cheddar off the post, able to get a great save as Coolbot had a shooting opportunity. Dr. Cheddar, even in the air with low boost, is still able to get a great touch. Getting a shot over towards net is not quite on target. Dr. Cheddar is going to remain nice and patient and take it on through. I did not see Coolbot, and I do believe Coolbot might have actually gotten stuck in a loop potentially. I'm unsure, though.
Yeah, and that's really neat, right? You saw the aerial, so if it had more boost, I would have been curious if Dr. Cheddar does make contact with the ball, but even there, so close to the backboard and the net, the fact that it just waited instead of immediately rushing and trying to score like we saw one of the other bots earlier, that just goes to show that, the programmer did add more thought into that. Like, hey, if the ball's gonna be rolling to cross where the net is at, then just, wait, right? Because a lot of times you see bots are just kind of all gas, no brakes.
Right, Dr. Cheddar has been extremely patient while there, just as you had mentioned, all gas or all brakes. Unfortunately, on the side of Coolbot, it was all gas, and the read was just not quite there to make contact with the ball. Dr. Cheddar able to capitalize on it. And the program for Dr. Cheddar has to be loving what they are seeing currently, already having won 1 round, and even going backwards here to get a 4th goal, assuming Coolbot is unable to get back. That is the case. And Dr. Cheddar, the programmer, has to be loving every second of this currently.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be celebrating. Probably as big as a celebration as watching a SpaceX rocket launch, right? Or land, actually. Like, yes, it's doing it. That's great. But that's cool, right? All these students from Wisconsin, really put in the work on these bots.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking about right now is that this is a huge project that the students have been able to take on, whether they're familiar with the game or not. To see their work come to fruition in such a way has got to be extremely fulfilling for them, especially, on the side of, say, Dr. Cheddar here, Coolbot, the other 2 bots that have also moved on, that being Zero Brain Cells and Jerry. To see your bot perform at a, high level, and for it to be put on an event both by Skillquest and by the Army National Guard, of course, the biggest of shout-outs to them for being able to put on said event and host said classes. It's got to feel so good on the side of the students and extremely fulfilling and rewarding. It just extremely happy that this event has been able to be put on and that the students have been able to code in such a way to where their bots are able to perform at high levels that we're witnessing.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing too, right? They just started this semester and they've gotten this far. from scratch, right? Just learning Python. Now they're seeing their bot execute here and like make goals, make some pretty awesome plays, and have it compete against other students. Because again, like even within the Army National Guard, right? You serve part time, so 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year. And same thing with us, right? You go to an advanced individual training, and within a few months, you learn a new skill, sorry. And some of our schools we do have where people do learn certain programming languages or how to set up networks and other things within the IT field.
It's extremely cool, and I'm just, with seeing at the level that these bots are playing on, it's actually been quite some time since we've had a goal. Coolbot holding his own, even flicking the ball around Dr. Cheddar. A shooting opportunity here is possible, but just a little bit too much pace going towards the ball. Dr. Cheddar is going to get around it and likely make it a fifth. Caster Curse for the second time tonight already, both by me. I'll take full responsibility for that. Unfortunate for Dr. Cheddar's, the ball is heading over towards his net, and it looks like Coolbot is stuck in that loop in the corner, unfortunately. Oh, make it 3, but Coolbot, unfortunately, putting in the back bottom corner of their net. It'll be 5-0 to Dr. Cheddar. And again, this being a precursor to the tournament to be held in December, I'm very interested to see what exactly these two programmers can do to sharpen their bot skills.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm noticing, right, is that Cheddar is moving a lot faster than Coolbot, right? Just, and it feels like it's being more aggro, but, it's just going to the bot faster to where the other bot is kind of, moving slower, positioning itself, kind of like almost gauging how they're going to shoot instead of, just full sending it.
Yeah, it's been a great matchup to see as well. Coolbot able to get out of the net, but Dr. Cheddar does collect that full boost, and contact has been solid from Dr. Cheddar. I didn't get to highlight it much earlier on, but the aerial control from Dr. Cheddar was great. There was an extremely strong pinch. Things I'm seeing from Dr. Cheddar right now look to be that of a tournament winner, if you ask me.
Yeah, and even, making sure you program like, hey, grab the boost on the way to, to make a stronger shot, or once you have X amount of boost, exhaust it to make contact with the ball. So all these small little variables, this is fun, and I can just imagine as a student, right, just seeing your bot competing for the first time has got to be a lot of fun.
It does, but it looks like the shutout will be taken off the board. Coolbot was able to line it up. It's beautiful to see. We do at least have a little bit of competition here. I'm wondering whether or not, based off kickoff, maybe Coolbot does still have a bit of an opportunity here. You never know with these bots. Sometimes, as we saw even in last match, maybe they'll actually put in their own net. This game is not quite over, and Coolbot does still have an opportunity at this.
Oh, Coolbot going for the second goal? Almost. Yeah, and that's pretty funny, whenever you see them kind of bump into each other.
It is, and I think Coolbot may be once again stuck in that back corner. Dr. Cheddar just being patient. The control on the brakes to make sure everything is lined up properly is extremely precise, and that is some seriously high-level programming from the student that has programmed Dr. Cheddar. 7-1, a full Brazil on the scoreboard as well. Incredible showing from Dr. Cheddar. At this point, I can pretty confidently say this game is going to be out of reach. However, I would not be shocked per se if Coolbot were able to possibly take game number 2. It's just a matter of being a little bit more precise and not necessarily going as fast towards the ball without having it quite lined up.
Oh, looks like we do have an opportunity here, unless Coolbot gets stuck in some sort of loop here.
Yeah, the final seconds are going to trickle on down, and Dr. Cheddar, though with 0 boost, still playing nice and patiently, not rushing anything. It's odd seeing a bot have such self-control behind their car. Well, I mean, not to name any names, of course, I'm not going to do that, but some of my friends may not even have the patience of Dr. Cheddar, which is pretty funny to me, at least personally. So that's a great first game, and a great showing to start off for the programmer for Dr. Cheddar.
Yeah, and again, that's neat, right? To write that in there that, hey, if the ball's getting close to the net, instead of you would think the bot would just automatically go, they programmed Cheddar to, hey, wait until it crosses in front of the net, then attack. That for me was just huge because, you have to program and write that in there because normally, hey, you just tell the bot to just go attack ball and do the thing. But now, once you start adding all these little variables, and I'm sure some of the other students who have their bots competing here, they're thinking, wait, that is true. I could add that. So again, this is all like a really good experience for them to take that into December, and they have a whole month essentially to really refine this. Maybe get some notes from some of the bots they are going up against, or some of the bots they're watching now. So that's gonna be pretty neat, because I know if I was watching this, I'm like, whoa, my bot needs to do that, but better, right?
Mhm. And that's one of the things I'm curious about. The students being mostly from the same school, specifically in the top four. Have they worked alongside each other in terms of programming these together? Have they gone off of each other's notes? Have they copied a little bit here and there, or have they all done it on their own? And may even be possibly hiding away secrets from the others. It's curious to, I'm curious to see what that would look like, especially come December. But at least to start things out, we do have a very strong showing out of Dr. Cheddar. It'll be tough to see. It'll be tough for Coolbot to fight back in this matchup. Dr. Cheddar has been programmed especially well. You know, playing patient, laying back a little bit, not necessarily rushing everything. And I can only imagine, having no programming experience myself, to go from zero to this over the span of just a few months is more than a challenge, and it's really like all the praise should be on the students for getting to this spot and for being able to succeed at such a high level coming into today.
Yeah, and as well, right? As an educator, right, their teacher must be extremely proud of, like, whoa, look, my students just started this at the beginning of the semester. They're already kicking butt, and their bots are doing so well with so much room for improvement as well, right? So again,
Hmm.
within one semester, the course itself is 20 hours, right? Um, so it's super neat to see the growth, and again, they're learning a whole new language, which is amazing. And that's something, within the Army National Guard, we want to make sure we provide these opportunities for students as well, because we all love esports, right? But maybe, hey, I want to go to college to pursue computer science, because this got me hooked as far as learning Python, and I want to learn more languages, or I want to make the world's best bot, because there was a point in time, right, when Rocket League, there was bots on there. I do recall going up against one, and I lost once, but it was a very humbling experience. But it was neat. It's like, wow, somebody programmed and created this. So, as they go on to, whatever university they choose through the Army National Guard, they are able to get, some of that tuition assistance covered while, pursuing, what they love.
Yeah, but I mean, to start things out, all that being said, Coolbot is actually able to have its first lead of this series as the light touch going up the backboard. Dr. Shadow just didn't quite line it up, almost a little too patient, if you will. And Coolbot having that speed, having that aggressiveness, if you will, to chase after the ball full force, ends up paying dividends early on. I'm curious as whether or not this might be the start of a possible change of the guard, if you would say. It's been a great start for Coolbot. We'll see whether I can continue this momentum.
Yeah, and it's always good to, start off on the right foot. And, oh, it looks like we are in a loop, unfortunately. And it looks like this is something that Coolbot struggled with even last match. So, again, Coolbot is scoring goals here. So maybe just patching, getting a little fix for that. Now you're talking about a much closer match. Now, good news here is obviously Cheddar scored, so we get to reset and do it all over again. So Coolbot's advantage is that, hey, you want to try and win that kickoff to score as soon as possible before you get stuck in that loop.
Yeah, it's specifically been in a corner of some sort. Dr. Cheddar's going to take its time. It's got the boost. It's going to be as patient as ever. The ball's actually just going to dribble on it on its own. The backspin going off of the backboard allows it to roll on through. Right now, Dr. Cheddar just able to climb back immediately, and things look great currently for the favorite in Dr. Cheddar.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's, because even when we saw with the first match, right, those bots kept on getting stuck in one particular quadrant. So I wonder if it's something having to do with, them programming the location of, like, hey, if you're in this location, maybe they missed it, or it might be a simple little error that now maybe Coolbot's programmer is saying, oh, crud, I forgot to fix that, or I maybe overlooked it. But even with that, tied 2-2 against Cheddar. So, I'm glad that this match is a lot closer here.
Yeah, Coolbot's going to end up going up here off the backboard. I'm a little concerned that he might get stuck in that loop once again. Just circling off the backboard. I'm not sure whether or not it's in a loop. It looks like, unfortunately, it is, and I do believe that you are correct that it has to be that specific area of the field. It has to be those far corners, as now Dr. Cheddar basically has free reign to, you know, play as patient as possible, get whatever boost it may want, and then circle on back and possibly take a shot, while, unfortunately, Coolbot is locked into that corner, making the viewers dizzy if we were to switch over to that camera.
Yeah, and I wonder, too, maybe it's when it hits the ball and it gets ahead of it when the bot is between the ball and the net. Maybe it freaks out, right? Maybe it's like, hey, what do I do now? I'm in between the ball and the net. Do I need to turn around and get behind the ball? But then on the turn, it just never stops turning, right? So it could be that. Could be the location. I'm really curious to see if, you know, if there's some troubleshooting, or I'd love to know, you know, what the root cause is and how to fix that.
Yeah, and I would love to know what exactly the students are thinking when they get into this. Obviously, it could be as simple as, okay, this went wrong, how do I change that? But from there, knowing how to properly program it and then testing it as well, you know, against other bots and whatnot. It's interesting to see what exactly may have to change. I mean, this time around, Coolbot does not get into a loop after hitting it off the backboard, and even gets, you know, a pinch across towards the other side of the field, just switching fields, but getting a little bit too far under the ball now. He's got no more boost while Dr. Cheddar has all, and actually, oddly enough, Dr. Cheddar backs off. He's going to line up a bit of a better shot. Can't quite get the angle. It's over towards the backboard. Dr. Cheddar does have that perfect read to get a pinch off the backboard, but now it's not in a great position. Coolbot circling around over towards the ball, not quite able to make contact. Dr. Cheddar's shot just a bit wide, and again, look in search of that pinch once more. But I haven't seen a loop for a little bit. It could be a good opportunity for Coolbot to get a shot towards net. That one, if on target, will be through, but it's just a little bit too far wide.
And that was a really close shot, right? Like we saw in the first match, there's, you know, very close on the accuracy. So, right, we have 2 minutes left. Coolbot is down just by 1 goal. So let's see here, solid 50.
Dr. Cheddar's just going to take its time. Bit of boost to work with as well. I've seen Coolbot does not necessarily have in the programming to go out of its way to collect boots. It's basically just what happens within the natural path from it to the ball. Now it's actually heading up, I believe, over towards the sidewall. Might have even been off the ceiling, but Dr. Cheddar has a freebie to extend the lead to 2. Now, granted, this game is not out of reach, but Dr. Cheddar does seem to have full control of this game, now being up 2. It's not out of reach, but Coolbot can't afford to get into any loops from here on out.
Yeah, and you know, here we're trying to still, you know, what's happening with that loop, and you know, we won't know exactly for sure, right, without looking under the hood. However, you know, another thing that was brought to our attention, that it could possibly be where, you know, Coolbot has a tough time deciding, do I go for the ball or do I go for boost? And they're both equally, you know, the same distance apart. Maybe just get stuck in a loop then, instead of, you know, making one a priority over the other. So that would be me.
Yeah, it was interesting a little bit. The position of the ball had caused Coolbot not to even get in a loop, but to circle around just because it had not been programmed to power slide. But Dr. Cheddar, again, just playing the patience game, sitting back, waiting for the opportunity to strike. It was afforded to it there, and that being a 3-goal lead now with a minute left, it's going to take a bit of a miracle for Coolbot to fight on back. But Dr. Cheddar has just been extremely strong. I have not seen basically any programming mistakes out of it so far.
Yeah, no, it looks solid. I'm also beginning to think, like, what if the loop is your bot crashes and it just defaults to drive forward and turn? Like, maybe that's its crash and that's what it defaults to.
It's interesting to think about as Dr. Cheddar's going to end up sending it all the way back downfield, and again, Coolbot just got stuck in that loop, unfortunately, in the corner. The programmer's going to have to take a look at that, see exactly what they can iron out, but if they are able to iron out that corner loop issue, I could very well see Coolbot being a strong contender coming into December.
Yeah, and one neat thing with Dr. Cheddar too, you'll notice that Dr. Cheddar does power slide, so that's a big advantage it has over Coolbot, even if, regardless of the loops, right? Just because when you power slide, you're able to get in a position a lot faster. So that's, you know, obviously a huge advantage when both bots are racing for the ball. You want to get there as fast as possible.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, that's very true, and it has cost CoolBot a couple of different opportunities to strike, either just make contact with the ball or to possibly get a shot on target. Not having that ability to shift directions as quickly has been a bit costly. But what was a close game, what even was a game in favor of CoolBot early on, is going to be a 2-0 to Dr. Cheddar. We're going to end up finding ourselves in the second top 4 match as soon as the clock ticks on down towards 0, where we will find 0 brain cells at the 2 seed going against the number 3 seed Jerry. We already got to see Jerry play. Now we've seen Dr. Cheddar competing at just as high of a level. I'm interested to see whether or not it might be those two in the finals, but we still have brain cells, and we definitely, or excuse me, we may have brain cells, but 0 brain cells is still well alive. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of that 2 and 3 matchup.
Yeah, and the small little things here, right? Like maybe adding the power slide ends up being the difference maker for Cheddar up against some of these other matches, right? Where the bot doesn't get stuck in a loop, but they're kind of evenly matched. And hey, adding that simple, well, maybe it's not so simple, right? But adding the power slide cuts the time that it takes for the bot to actually make first contact with the ball. And like you said earlier, right? That's something that, CoolBot hasn't been able to land that first strike because, Cheddar's already on the ball.
Absolutely. It was a great showing from Dr. Cheddar, and there is still a bit of work to be done. Dr. Cheddar is now finding themselves in the grand finals, but there is still one more game before we reach that. We have 0 brain cells and Jerry. We got to see Jerry. I'm very interested to see what 0 brain cells has to hold in this series. It won its first series 2-0, and that is what we've seen consistently so far, as we have seen sweeps. Might be a closer matchup here, but regardless, the programmers for Jerry and for 0 brain cells have to be a little bit concerned seeing how well Dr. Cheddar had performed.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit nervous too, but it's one of those things of like, you just have to wait and see how your bot, reacts to the other one. But again, I'm curious to see, obviously with Dr. Cheddar, some impressive shots, right? Using the boost, flipping, getting a lot of power, a lot of accuracy. But the power side, right? It's a nice little extra thing there. So I'm curious to see if some of the other bots, may be programmed to where, hey, if you're this far or if there's boosts along the way, pick a boost to get there faster, right? Maybe they write in boost as a higher priority. That way they can make contact with the ball, faster than the other bot does.
Yeah, I'm interested when it comes to boosting, how do you I'm curious, how do you program using the right amount, not overusing it, not going straight from a full tank all the way down to 0 just to get up to the max speed again. That's another thing, once you prioritize that boost collection, then how do you create the most efficient route towards utilizing that boost as well? So it's an interesting thing all around. I really think one of the only things that there was 2 main things CoolBot would need. One of them would just be that power slide to be able to turn a little bit quicker, as we discussed, and the other, figuring out what that loop is. So it'll be an interesting thing to see come December. Will changes be made? Will improvements be made? Is he able to avoid that loop moving into the future? But regardless of that, we're set for our next matchup between 0 brain cells and Jerry. Should be a great matchup between 2 of the top 3 seeds. Straight off kickoff, Jerry is able to win it. Has a quick challenge going over towards the net. I remember Jerry was always used to getting solid contact around the ball, getting to the ball quickly, while 0 brain cells, I really do not know what exactly the main thing is, but Jerry is looking for a bit of aerial control early. It's going to be 0 brain cells to bring it down. He's got no more boost. Jerry has efficiently used that boost to save it off the post. Nice seeing Jerry being programmed to get back with pace. However, the shot is going to come through from 0 brain cells. And something that I had not noticed, because this is the first time we've seen Jerry get scored on outside of an own goal. 0 brain cell scores, and Jerry puts a no in the chat as well.
Again, Jerry's programmer, kudos. Those are fun little tidbits. And yeah, it's awesome to, I'm pretty sure you took extra time, right, to write that in there. But it's an absolute treat. That's so cool.
It has, and that is unfortunately for Jerry. 2 no's in the chat. 0 brain cells moves with quite a bit of pace. Prioritize getting that corner boost. and then didn't just have to stay on the ground and then flip. Actually jumped first to make sure it had the right height on the ball. Zero Brain Cells has been extremely accurate with all touches up to this point, and it looks like it may be a quick 3-0 to start things out. An unfortunate misflip, but it will not matter as Zero Brain Cells is up very quickly on Jerry. I thought Jerry might honestly cruise a little bit here. It has been quite the opposite to start things out.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, right? The name Zero Brain Cells, but I feel like sometimes when you play Rocket League, that's what you need to have. You just zero brain cells. Just go for the ball, hit ball hard, and ball in net, right?
Yeah, that's what we've seen up until this point. Oh, it's unfortunate for Jerry. Jerry actually not seeing what a save this time. Maybe he has it programmed specifically to the specific color, but regardless, Zero Brain Cells didn't quite have the angle. Jerry still put it in on its own accord. That is 4 already for Zero Brain Cells. An interesting start. Curious to see whether or not Jerry is able to start turning things around when he's able to finally get control of the ball. It's just that kickoffs have been dominated thus far by Zero Brain Cells.
And one thing to note is that every bot does come with a default kickoff. So maybe some of the students, continue to use that, or, Zero Brain Cells, wrote in, something a little bit different, right, to give it more of an edge right off the kickoff.
And you know what? Now that I see it, it looks like it's programmed specifically to the color of net, because we saw what a saves come through when it was Jerry who was on the blue half and had own gold. We had not seen anything go into the orange net. So I believe it might be a specific half of the field, but Jerry's finally able to get that first, which is great to see. And now from here, we're going to see whether or not Zero Brain Cells is able to maintain that later, if Jerry is going to fight back and end up taking it. Jerry actually steals that boost, but the pitch downfield actually is set all the way downfield. It's going to be Zero Brain Cells with an opportunity. Can't quite hook around the ball for a shot. It's popped up high. Jerry had the read in the air, and now both bots using a bit more aerial control. Jerry, an opportunity back downfield. It's sent high off of the post. Jerry's going to take his time, get the shot into the bottom corner, off of the post, and we have ourselves quite a game in front of us.
Yeah, and that's super interesting, right? Like, going again with those self passes by going, pinching it off the wall, that's super neat. And seeing them play defense as well. It's, once the ball's up in the air in front of the net, what's the likelihood of the defender actually saving it, right? Because we see that sometimes, Zero Brain Cells does have his bot, wait a little bit longer to, let that ball roll off the wall.
I mean, and seemingly as quickly as Jerry is able to fight back in this match, Zero Brain Cells is able to just climb right on back again. 5-2 now being the scoreline. The kickoffs have been the most crucial part of this. Zero Brain Cells winning a majority of them, just being able to recover quickly onto the ball. As here, Zero Brain Cells is going to take his time, collect that corner boost, and accidentally sends it down into his own half. Jerry was going to take his time, but the first time we see a demolition come through from Zero Brain Cells, Jerry on the respawn has a shot. It's not quite on target. Goes high off the post up towards the ceiling. Jerry's going to circle underneath it. Zero Brain Cells is going to take his time, wait for Jerry's touch. And Jerry, I believe, it is programmed a lot more to just getting a touch in general, not necessarily one in a set direction.
Yeah, and I feel like we're... Whoa, the wave dash. Okay. That is kind of cool.
I mean, that's definitely
I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but it looked nice.
Regardless, that is an extremely efficient use of the flip on the side of Zero Brain Cells. And, I mean, you're just going to send it on through to the back of the net. Simple as that. Perfect defensive plays on the side of Zero Brain Cells. That was quite interesting. And, yeah, the wave dash coming through, could not have possibly predicted it. Again, whether intentional or not, it did happen. Zero Brain Cells, if able to get the angle, could make it 7 here. Just going to take his time, have a possible shooting opportunity. Jerry's going to close that gap on through and then end up being sent back downfield by Zero Brain Cells. He's going to leave them mid-boost. I'm not sure if Jerry collected it. Interested to see what happens from here, but Zero Brain Cells with some aerial control. It's a light touch. Jerry can actually capitalize on this. I mean, the game is still extremely competitive. It's just been those kickoffs that have cost Jerry so far.
Yeah, and that was an interesting play there from Zero Brain Cells. Unless you're... No, Zero Brain Cells still had boost, but... when you see Jerry go on defense, Jerry goes for a pinch, right, to really get that ball away from there and, hopefully have it, run across the wall. But Zero Brain Cells showed Zero Brain Cells there, right? It just didn't do anything to really get a solid enough clear to get that ball away from the net. Let's see here, Jerry with a pinch. And it looks like their Brain Cells has an open net. Unfortunately, just a little wide. However, goes for the aerial goal. What a shot.
I mean, that is extremely impressive. We haven't seen many aerial touches from the bot so far, but nonetheless, we see one from Zero Brain Cells, even with the limited boost, still able to program the right control of the car to A, have the right height, launch at the right angle, have the right speed. That is extremely precise. And again, the programmer for Zero Brain Cells has to love to see that being the product of their work. However, Jerry just going back downfield and striking once again. Zero defense, all offense seemingly on this side of or on this this specific game.
And with a minute 34 left, right? It's still, we still have a ball game, if you will, right? Jerry's only 3 goals down, and if all of them are done right off of the kickoff, then it's going to be looking like it would work in Jerry's favor. However, Zero Brain Cells just immediately stays on the ball, goes for the shot, and Jerry not able to catch up.
Been a very strong showing from both programmers, really. I mean, I haven't seen too many things that either necessarily needs to change. The only thing might be altering what the kickoff program is, because it has benefited Zero Brain Cells a lot, as we see another example of it. Trying to slide in that bottom corner goes just too high, but with collecting that boost, it's just going to end up being shot anyways. And that might honestly be the only thing Jerry needs. On the side of Zero Brain Cells, though, it's had aerial control as well. It's been extremely strong programming, and I'm now, assuming that Game 2 it plays out on the same course as this one. We're going to have Zero Brain Cells and Dr. Cheddar both programmed to a very similar strength, and that being said, for a best of 5, could really go to all 5 games.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing off kickoffs with Jerry's bot is that Jerry goes for boost if the ball is, a certain distance away from Jerry, right? Where if, the ball's going closer to the net, Jerry should disengage from getting boost and go play defense on the net. Because I think that's how 2 or 3 of the goals that Zero Brain Cells made were completely uncontested, because Jerry, the ball separated far enough to where Jerry's like, oh, I'm going to go get boost, but it's going to, to their net.
Now to kick off once again. This time, Jerry following up with an early touch. Zero Brain Cells is going to take it over towards his corner. I'm curious to see, well, there's Jerry with a little bit of aerial play as well in return. However, with the ball being in the corner like that, doesn't necessarily benefit him so much. And he gets bumped into the ball, which ends up being sent into his own net. Double-digit score line this time around, as Zero Brain Cells is able to find the magic 10 to go up by 5 with 47 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome getting a pool shot. I would definitely flex that on my classmates.
Absolutely, yeah. Jerry to his own ball, corner pocket, if you will, as he's able to find a 10th goal. Zero Brain Cells in control of this game. I still can see it going the other way, as Jerry does have the potential. However, it's just unfortunate the contact seems to be, on offense, very strong. On defense, it seems to be a little bit directionless, and I'm curious how exactly you're able to make that change in Python, as Jerry's going to try to bring it downfield, try to get one more for the road as it pops up high. Jerry's got a bit of boost, but just ends up going by the ball, unfortunately for him. Zero Brain Cells is just going to end up letting it be cleared, as Jerry tries following closely from the sidewall. Zero Brain Cells sends it on back downfield. Popped up in the air. An aerial shot again from Zero Brain Cells. Extremely strong offense through this first game.
Yeah, and I think that the aerial play here is definitely going to be a huge difference maker going into, the final matches and competing against other bots, because, you're not allowing the defensive player to even wait for the ball to hit the ground. It's, if it's in front of the net, it's in the air, then Zero Brain Cells is gonna sink that.
Absolutely. And the final seconds are going to trickle on down. The ball is not off the ground. It stays grounded. We have ourselves a first game victory here for Zero Brain Cells. And, as much as, you can look at the scoreline of 11-5 and say, okay, one-sided game. Sure, you could say that. But in all reality, Jerry still had a great showing with many offensive opportunities that he was able to capitalize upon. It was just that the kickoff goals were the biggest factor towards Zero Brain Cells having a win.
Yeah, and it's definitely that, learning to engage and disengage instead of going for that 100 boost in the middle of the field when the ball is kind of going towards your net. Zero Brain Cells is already on the offense, but you have Jerry going to get 100 boosts that does nothing for them at the end of the day, which ironically enough is kind of a human thing to do, right? You have those teammates where they go for boost over ball. So that's actually quite funny to see.
It is, but I mean, it's been a great start thus far. Interested to see how the second game goes. Maybe Jerry's able to turn around, maybe kickoff start going in a different direction. Quite intriguing stuff all around, but so far it is Zero Brain Cells who has the series lead 1-0 in a dominant 11-5 scoreline. Off kickoff, Jerry actually got a flip reset off the ball. Whether intentional or not, it did happen. The ball rolls off the post. Brain Cells has an early challenge and is able to get the first goal of the second game.
And what a powerful win there, and unfortunate that Jerry ends up hitting the ball, getting closer to the net, and Zero Brain Cells is right there exactly where they need to be.
I think one of the things that has been very crucial, both on the side of Zero Brain Cells and from the current grand finalist of Dr. Cheddar, has been patience and not rushing for the ball. Being able to program the patience for the car to simply, slow down in front of the net, take its time, and not rush that shot as opposed to possibly missing and having a poor angle is extremely big and has been a massive factor in this game for both again, for Dr. Cheddar and for Zero Brain Cells having success. Now, Jerry does have an opportunity with the aerial to bring it back downfield in this far corner. It's a good offensive opportunity, and now it's exerting a little bit of patience as Zero Brain Cells has the touch, but Jerry doesn't quite have the angle on the ball to try to get a shot. Brain Cells has boost, gets the extra touch all the way downfield, but it is just off. Brain Cells on the follow, in the air. The aerial goals have been crucial and could very genuinely lead to Zero Brain Cells taking this game and the grand finals, assuming more opportunities like this arise.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell that's going to be a huge difference maker, just getting up in the air fast and striking the ball. But, going back to, the programmer making sure that the bot has patience if the ball's rolling in front of the net, that seems like a very calculated thing to write in there, because if I'm programming a bot and I know it's going to compete against other bots, that's actually a huge advantage, right? If the ball's, close to the net and it's slowly moving towards where the net's going to be, there's no sense in rushing your bot to, attack for an angle that isn't there, right? Just having it pause or wait for a certain amount of time, that's going to be huge. Especially,
absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that, maybe hearing that and rewatching the bots back, maybe the programmers start programming that even further if they already have that incorporated. Well, Jerry is just showing even more aero control, but unfortunately the patience may not pay off. Zero Brain Cells actually with a little bit of lack of patience there. Typically, you don't see that from this bot, but has the perfect read on the ball to get an extra aerial touch. Jerry has boost the shot going towards the net. Doesn't quite find the bottom corner, but Jerry has the read as it rolls up off of the backboard, across in front of the net, and now we see an aerial goal back in the orange direction.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jerry just being able to bounce back, showing that it's never over, right? It's, so many variables come into play of, for Rocket League, right? But I hope Jerry is able to maybe win this match or keep it closer, because, Jerry's also showing that, hey, I can aerial too.
Yeah, and that is actually going to end up being an own goal, a very rare own goal on the side of Zero Brain Cells. It loves going for that pinch off of the wall, this time unfortunately not being the opportune time to do so. It'll hit off of the corner and just trickle on through into the back of the net. We have ourselves a tied game with under 3 minutes remaining. This really is any bot's ball game.
Yeah, that's something to consider too, right? If you tell your bot to pinch, the probability of it going into your net might be like maybe 10%, right? You gamble it and still go for the pinch just to potentially set up your bot for a better offensive capability. And that might be, what the programmer decided. So, sometimes it's gonna bounce in your net and own goal, but I mean, maybe it's worth it.
And maybe you can program it specifically on the pinch, like, hey, instead of hitting it so directly in the middle of the ball to where, it could go either way, maybe program it so that your car in particular ends up being on the defensive side of the ball to pinch it towards the offensive half. There's all different kinds of variables you can incorporate, But here, patience was not one of them for Zero Brain Cells. Jerry given a freebie to tie it up once again. These kickoff goals have been everything this series, seemingly. Now, immediately off the kickoff, once again, Jerry backwards, going to take his time, gets an extra touch, and ends up recovering as well, heading back towards Nez. Zero Brain Cells with that pinch once again. It's lighter this time, but Jerry caught a little bit of no man's land, while Zero Brain Cells doesn't have the angle to get it around Jerry. Is going to end up clearing it wide. Maybe if Jerry's able to collect boost, he'll end up circling around to it, but Zero Brain Cells accidentally puts it back towards his own net, and it's just going to roll on through. Jerry has a lead.
That is interesting, seeing Zero Brain Cells just say, I'm going to shoot my shot regardless of the net, because that looked pretty deliberate. They didn't, you know, I thought maybe, oh, it's going to take it to the blue side of the net and just dribble it around, but, you know, Zero Brain Cells just saw a net and said, hey, I'm shooting it. So that's, you know, working against itself, and it might come and, you know, bite it in the butt in future matches.
Quite interesting to see, and I mean, I think you're absolutely correct. It more than looked intentional. It definitely looked like that was the touch that Zero Brain Cells was in search of. The question is, can he get it back? The shot is towards net, but not quite on target. And a bump coming through from Jerry onto Zero Brain Cells. Jerry looking to possibly extend the lead here as it's pitched off of Zero Brain Cells back outfield. Neither bot with boost. Both taking a little bit of time here, playing the patience game, but the patience game currently favors Jerry, as Jerry has that lead and might be able to extend it to 2, depending on the patience that is exuded, and it is a fake as Zero Brain Cells circles around the ball. Jerry's patience paying off tenfold.
Oh my goodness, it's so funny watching it happen slowly, because you can just tell it's thinking, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do, and then boom, just follows through.
That might be one of the most methodical fakes I've ever seen, bot or not. The patience there was beautiful. Zero Brain Cells off kickoff will end up answering back, but Jerry still has a lead. That 2-goal lead being the biggest lead Jerry has seen so far this series. You know, you would hope for the program for Jerry that Jerry is able to stick to it and hold that lead. Curious as to whether or not it's able to maintain it. Bound to find out here shortly.
Yeah, those kickoffs are massive. Zero Brain Cells, you know, ultimately taking advantage. And if anything, I think overall, Jerry's probably had the weaker kickoff strat, just because, you know, if the ball goes too far away, they'll go for mid-boost. But, you know, if it stays close, it just feels like Zero Brain Cells is just immediately turning and engaging as fast as possible to get that first touch through.
Absolutely, and I think other programmers could learn from that. You know, either you could try to program it so that if the ball were to be further away, that you could end up, you know, possibly circling on back. But regardless of what they're programming for kickoff, right now, Zero Brain Cells, regardless of being down 2, regardless of the fake and the patience from Jerry, has found its way back into this game and back into the lead. And with only little time remaining, every goal from here on out is equally as important as the next. 6-5 now being the score line. Zero Brain Cells has that light kickoff. Jerry going backwards is a little bit awkward, and that might just end up finding its way to the back of the net. Jerry with an accidental own goal. These two teams are trading, or these two bots, excuse me, are just trading leads back and forth.
Well, I'm just glad that bots can throw too. I've thrown my matches quite often, so it's kind of refreshing knowing that, hey, even a program does it sometimes. Well, potentially, right? Still a minute left. It's a lot of seconds, and Jerry can still come back, but you know, we'll see how this shakes out. Right? Zero Brain Cells might just go for that own goal again. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oof. I thought it was lining up to send that to their net.
Yeah, and that pinch is a huge one. That clear is going to actually take a lot of time off of the clock as Jerry is trying to get something going back, so he sends it back towards his own net. Might be looking for a pinch of his own. He will do that. Sends it over. Brain Cells has the read, but now with it going back downfield, Jerry might have a transition opportunity. The shot's not quite on target. Jerry already in the air, but it's just too early. Zero Brain Cells has the clear, and that might waste enough time to end this series.
Oh, here we go. You score the goal here? Oh, no. That would have been the moment to do it, right? To basically get the tiebreaker and then hope for a kickoff goal.
Unfortunately, that is just not going to end up happening. It will be Zero Brain Cells moving into the grand finals. Dr. Cheddar waiting in the wings to meet him. Going to be an incredible matchup between these two teams, or between these two bots, excuse me. So used to casting for more than one unit, if you will, at a time. Um, uh, you know, question for you, Juice. What exactly do you believe are the key programs you've seen from Dr. Cheddar and from Zero Brain Cells that are going to possibly lead to one or the other winning this final matchup?
So one, power slides, right? That just helps you rotate faster to have your bot facing the ball and engage as soon as possible. Then the other one is, once you start getting to the point where both bots are shooting and putting, these shots on target, that aerial gameplay is going to come in and be a deciding factor too. So I think for me, those are the two biggest things I'm looking for that are going to be the difference makers between these, upcoming matches.
I think you're absolutely right. And I mean, we got to see that in the series leading up to this. Going to be a great match between the two top seeds. It wouldn't be a grand finals if it wasn't the two best bots. And I do truly believe we have seen the two best bots make the grand finals. We're going to take a quick break here in the booth. We'll be back with the grand finals here shortly. Don't miss it, or excuse me, you won't want to leave. Jeez, words are tough for me today. Don't leave. You won't want to miss out. Grand finals coming your way shortly.
Summer in the hills, those hazy days I do remember. We were running still, had the whole world at our feet, watching seasons change. Our roads were lined with adventure, mountains in the way couldn't keep us from the sea. Here we stand, open arms. This is home where we are, ever Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend? For it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave. Memories like this never end. No, they don't fade away. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on, keep holding on. And I'll be right there, close to the sun, close to the sun. Close to the sun. Here's to the ones who let shine through the rain, the ones who stood for something more. We won't forget your names. The tide is high, say goodbye, we're setting sail, and all those midnight secrets told, we'll take them to the grave. So when I'm gone, oh, when I'm gone, I'll be right there, close to the sun. Keep holding on.
Welcome back, everyone. We are approaching the grand finals. I'm McMaster. Joining me right here is Juice. We've been in the booth all night tonight, really enjoying this tournament being put on by Skillquest and the Army National Guard. Thank you to both groups for Skillquest putting together these classes, helping these students learn how to program these bots, and obviously the Army National Guard for being willing to sponsor this event. It has been an incredible time all around. We're going into this final matchup, Juice. What do you think going into this matchup? What's going to be crucial for these two bots?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for Dr. Cheddar's bot. I'm going to predict this as Dr. Cheddar's bot might win because I think it does utilize a little bit more of the power slide, right? And I think just making first contact on the ball is just going to go such a long way. Where now you're starting to get the best bots out of the group. So all these minor little things are going to be, again, like how we've been saying throughout the entire tournament, is the big difference maker. However, I'm conflicted because I feel like it's going to be a really close match, but I just want to lean more towards the power slide being more critical than the aerial play. What do you think?
I really think that is going to be the biggest thing, because ultimately that is going to lead to more consistent touches that can set aerial goals, but it's not like we saw Dr. Cheddar struggle with those either. The aerial goals there was a lot of confidence when it came to those and hitting the ball properly as well. So I do believe that, the power slide being programmed into Dr. Cheddar is going to make a little bit of a bigger difference. However, Zero Brain Cells did have a lot of aerial success, both offensively and defensively. So I'm very curious to see what exactly is going to happen between these two teams.
Yeah, and one of the things too, right, is as we saw, Dr. Cheddar and Zero Brain Cells, their kickoffs are pretty darn solid. Really no issues, or obviously no loops, right? But no issues there as far as, with Jerry, we did see that certain times Jerry would go and grab that full 100 mid boost while the ball's going towards their net, and, Zero Brain Cells, capitalizing on all those free goals essentially. But I don't recall seeing anything with, Dr. Cheddar or Zero Brain Cells making kind of those errors or mistakes. So I'm really looking forward to this match, seeing, bots that are, the best of this group, right? So I'm hoping for as close a match as possible, because they are exciting. And again, for all the viewers that are possibly just tuning in, here at Skillquest, through the Army National Guard, we were able to sponsor this class for a lot of students to basically learn how to program Python through Rocket League. So they've gone through the course, all the modules, and then now they're basically at the point where they're developing their own Rocket League. And there, this first group that we have here are the first ones to submit their assignment, if you will, because there will be another tournament in December where we'll see more polished bots and, you know, hopefully a lot closer competition throughout the entirety of the bracket, right? So, you know, for everybody watching, whether you submitted a bot, you know, congratulations, keep at it, right? You can always improve, right? And for those who didn't submit a bot, now you get a sneak peek at what your competition is doing right now. They might get better right over time, so you got to just, you know, stay on that grind and continue to reiterate on your program or make better reiterations.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, seeing things immediately. Dr. Cheddar had a little bit more patience than Zero Brain Cells. However, Zero Brain Cells is playing with quite a bit more pace than Dr. Cheddar as he finds the full field clear. And early on, we have ourselves a tied ball game. That's just some incredible speed shown off by Zero Brain Cells, able to just race his way over to the ball before Dr. Cheddar could get there. It's beautiful to see right now on both sides, the bots being competitive. We have a pretty even matchup. Zero Brain Cells taking his time, now lining up a shot. Dr. Cheddar able to get back in time, is able to get that save as well as Zero Brain Cells look to line up a pinch. He doesn't quite have it at this moment, but will collect the full boost and try to circle on back towards the ball. He's going to send it back down to his own corner and try to reset his offense from here. However, it's going to center out, and Dr. Cheddar simply has the read. Too weak of a touch on the side of Zero Brain Cells, and Dr. Cheddar's got a freebie.
Yeah, it looks like right there, Zero Brain Cells wasn't able to land correctly on that corner wall and stay on the ball to kind of like, you know, dribble it around. But right off the kickoff, we did see Dr. Cheddar basically get in that defensive position and block the shot on target, which allowed that change of that play to develop.
And Zero Brain Cells is just locked in, going for that pinch whenever the ball heads over towards the lower part of the sidewall. There's a second occurrence of that happening, and now Zero Brain Cells has a bit of space to work with. Dr. Cheddar giving him room to work. Zero Brain Cell doesn't have the angle to take the shot. Still making great contact, attempting to get a pinch on the sidewall once again, but that is going to lead to a free opportunity for Dr. Cheddar, who simply walks it on in. 3-1 already being the scoreline. Dr. Cheddar is simply taking advantage of Zero Brain Cells being a little bit too aggressive at times.
Yeah, and that patience is, you know, going a long way. Because Zero Brain Cells, like we, you know, saw some of the matches earlier, being aggro does have its benefits sometimes, but when you're going up against, you know, a bot like Dr. Cheddar, having that patience goes such a long way, and you know, they're just waiting for Brain Cells to make a mistake to center that ball.
Now Zero Brain Cells is going to take his time, circle around the ball, and start a dribble as he gets a great move around Dr. Cheddar to start, but Dr. Cheddar's racing back with boost and cuts off the ball before a shot is able to come through. Now Dr. Cheddar, space in the air to work with, shot just off the side of the post. Unable to get that one on net. That would have extended the lead to 3 for sure, but now with boost to work with, will end up taking a light touch and backs off, just looking to maintain possession as it's hit over toward the back wall. Extra shot on target, just off the post, and he gets stuck on the post. Zero Brain Cells has an opportunity to send all the way downfield, but he just doesn't quite have the angle, and Zero Brain Cells locked into that pinch regardless of what direction it's going. Looks like that'll have to be a correction in code, Juice.
Yeah, absolutely. And the shots that Cheddar was taking were really tough angles for even a human, right? So the fact that it was still getting close, those are, you know, very impressive. However, here Zero Brain Cells able to stay maintain possession of the ball and essentially just drive it into the back of the net.
Finally able to push through. Dr. Cheddar had speed, but just did not have the angle to take the thing and attempted the save. It's going to end up leading to a great goal on the side of Zero Brain Cells. He's going to look to tie things up as well. Swings on over. Just going to play patient and probably search for that pinch once again. Instead of liking to wait, gets an extra touch, but Dr. Cheddar is there waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm noticing here, right? Like, oh my goodness. Cheddar just sniping that, waiting for the error to happen. And that patience is going such a long way, because one thing that I've been noticed with some of these bots is that their recoveries, you know, do suffer quite a bit. And with Cheddar's tactic of just waiting, you're just waiting for that, you know, that other bot to essentially make that mistake, fail on that recovery, and Cheddar's just there patiently waiting.
And he's looking to possibly make it a fifth. It's just barely going to trickle on through off of the post. Great showing from Dr. Cheddar. It is still a good matchup, or it's a close matchup, but that Dr. Cheddar has simply had and this makes sense. It has been going for the more advanced stuff. It's kept everything very disciplined, taken its time, been patient, and just taking more of a reliable touch as opposed to Zero Brain Cells, which seems to be a bot that has been programmed to take a little more risk with these pinches on the back wall and try to be a little bit more aggressive regardless of boost or positioning. As Dr. Cheddar rolling off the post, makes a beautiful backwards save, is going to get the full field clear as well.
Yeah, that small little decision there. Just, it could have gone straight to the ball, but no, goes left a bit to pick up that boost, knows where the ball's at, and just writing that in there, great job to the programmer there.
Going back the other way, Zero Brain Cells is able to win the race to the ball, but just can't quite get the shot on target. Gets locked up on the post as well, makes an extra touch, but it's going back over towards his own half of the field, and Dr. Cheddar lines it up, takes it, fires it on home, and strikes the target. 6-2 now. I believe the only thing right now that is costing Zero Brain Cells is just overcommitments a little bit, trying to take some touches on the ball in spots that are not advantageous, that allows Dr. Cheddar to have that avenue toward the net.
Yeah, and something that's interesting to consider, right? Whenever the students are programming this bot, they're not necessarily programming it to compete against a person, where now you have to make, those decisions on. And I want to say that's what Cheddar's programmer went for, knowing that they're going to play against bots, and the bots will make an error at some point, and just gives Cheddar that patience ability, if you will.
I think it was interesting there, just witnessing Cheddar start to go backwards with the ball, then recognizing that it would not be an accurate assessment of where the ball is, turning back around and going straight again to challenge it up front. It's very interesting to see the bot decision-making, deciding, what is going to be the best angle to tackle this at? What is going to be the best way to attack the ball and try to get something else? Well, here you can see, again, Dr. Cheddar with no boost, having the wherewithal to flip towards the net in order to retreat. Zero Brain Cells, which is stuck upfield right now, and actually might even be in the first loop I've seen for Zero Brain Cells, while Dr. Cheddar is just going to pinch it away. It is very simply going to be a Game 1 victory for Dr. Cheddar.
Yeah, and that's such a brilliant play right there, right? Dr. Cheddar, zero boost. You have zero boost, ball is coming towards net, then front flip as fast as you can. Keep front flipping, get there as fast as possible. And, Zero Brain Cells had zero boost and, wasn't able to move faster, and, they were able to save the ball.
It's fantastic showing to start for Dr. Cheddar. And, it's unfortunate for the programmer of Zero Brain Cells, just seeing that the early challenges and the aggressive nature actually came back to bite them in the end of game number 1. It's what cost them most of the goals. Dr. Cheddar right now is cruising and is looking to carry on that same pace moving here into game number 2.
Yeah, and again, these are just amazing learning lessons for for these students to have their bot actually be in a competition, see the different play styles, how people program their bots, what errors they're having, or now you're thinking of ways, well, how do I counteract this? Or maybe for Zero Brain Cells, thinking, whoa, if the person I'm going against has their bot to be a little bit more patient, then I'm gonna lose. But if the bot is slow, then they're gonna win because they're just faster.
And that one right there was interesting to see. Zero Brain Cells again just challenging the ball simply because it was there to challenge. It actually almost resulted in an own goal instead. Aerial opportunity, double tap is available, but not quite on target. Zero Brain Cells had it lined up, just didn't quite have the patience, while Dr. Cheddar is going to come back down the opposite way, have one light touch, flip into it for another 1-0 for the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that hit there was intentional, but that's a very risky, hitting the 45 degree on the goalpost to to clear the ball out. That is, I would not do that. I would not take that gamble.
I'll say it was an incredibly close opportunity for Zero Brain Cells. But once again, it's Dr. Cheddar retreating back to net, but it's just, it's not even too far. The backwards save coming through from Dr. Cheddar. There have been very minimal mistakes I've seen from this bot thus far. And honestly, with the way that it is performing, it is going to be hard for me to see a logical way Zero Brain Cells been taking this game, because Dr. Cheddar has been playing to a very high ability. However, that might be an opportunity for Zero Brain Cells. He will walk it on in with the greatest of ease to tie us up at 1.
With the caster curse still alive and well. Yeah, that I do like for Dr. Cheddar, right? Whenever it disengages and goes into the defensive posture, you know, front flipping and getting there as soon as possible is brilliant. Instead of just driving, it's like, no, flip forward to, you know, cover as much ground as possible to then position your car. But like we saw there, you know, if the ball is right outside of the net, it kind of will rush to try and get there instead of, you know, maybe waiting. But you know, that's really on you know, the programmer to kind of fine-tune that.
Absolutely. Here's an opportunity right now. Zero Brain Cells just rolls it on through and is able to claim a lead. And you had mentioned the caster curse is undefeated today. I have just been jinxing bots left and right, and even the grand final is unfortunately not immune to said curse. But now, I mean, just after mentioning how I hadn't seen many mistakes coming through on the side of Dr. Cheddar, I now see multiple successes coming through from Zero Brain Cells, and he might even be able to roll it on into more things, assuming he doesn't send it on over back towards his own net and create an opportunity for Cheddar again.
Yeah, and it looks like that might be Cheddar's kryptonite, right? Just shots coming from the sides, from the corners, because now, you know, Cheddar's in the net, trying to turn around and get to the ball as fast as possible. Just, you know, forces the bot to get in a really bad position or, you know, challenge too early.
And Zero Brain Cells with a full, I mean, the extra clear, the extra strength on the touch as well. 3-1 now. We have ourselves quite a competitive grand finals being competed right now between these two bots. I really don't know who exactly has control of this game.
Zero Brain Cells with the comeback. But again, we're just at 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So essentially halftime. Like we know, a lot can happen. Cheddar barely missing.
Right now, what we're seeing from the two bots is just extremely high-level play between the two. Both are performing, and honestly, regardless of how this ends up shaking up, or, you know, what the results of the grand finals should be, both programmers should be extremely proud of how their bots performed today, and should look at this as more of an opportunity for them to improve even further moving into the later term in December, as Dr. Cheddar has an opportunity. The ball, though, goes right over the hood of Cheddar's car. He's going to retreat back towards net with 0 boost, and now on the counterattack comes Zero Brain Cells. The challenge is quick and early for Dr. Cheddar. Neither bot with much boost in the tank. Possible bump opportunity. No, it'll be Zero Brain Cells to clear over towards his own corner.
Oh. Is that the one that's on target? Closes it out. Cheddar finally able to sink a goal. Was having a tough time, and it was looking like Zero Brain Cells kind of had it in the bag, but Cheddar, you know, coming back alive, and you know, now we have a very close game. Minute 29, and Cheddar is 1 goal down.
I mean, yeah, that is plenty of time for both these bots either to end up having a tied ball game, which we might see right in front of us as Dr. Cheddar has an avenue, but he gets bumped off of the ball behind from Zero Brain Cells. What the name would not suggest what that play was. That was a very high IQ play by the bot, and it's going to even lead to a goal on the other side of the field. The bump to save it, and a shot on target doubles the lead once again.
And that's where we see, right? Earlier we were saying, hey, maybe patience is the winner, but that's when the aggro gameplay comes in, where you just try to get to the ball, hit it, and there's a car in the way, right? And that essentially turned a potential goal being scored into an amazing counterattack.
With an outrageously strong goal inside Zero Brain Cells, but this time we're going to end up seeing a pull shot back in favor of Dr. Cheddar, saying whatever you can do, I can do better. That was an incredible bump coming through from Dr. Cheddar, just muscles Zero Brain Cells out of the way, and that'll end up trickling on into the orange net once again. Dr. Cheddar's within striking distance.
Yeah, and it's funny to see there, right? So Zero Brain Cells was a very, like, the ball was super close to them, so it was trying to realize, well, how do I approach this And you see it with human players sometimes, right? Like the ball's too close, you're like, what do I even do? I need a power slide and reposition, but now you have to tell the bot to do that, right? So that's like definitely an area to improve on.
Zero Brain Cells with that early challenge is able to keep it away from Dr. Cheddar, albeit just for the time being. We're approaching the final seconds of this game. We just hit the 30-second mark. Zero Brain Cells is just trying to keep the ball in a safe spot in the corner, flips out away from the back wall, taking his time. It'll be Dr. Cheddar circle around as it sends up high off the sidewall. Zero Brain Cells challenging early, and again, the longer the ball stays in this corner, the less of an opportunity there is for Dr. Cheddar. The extra touch saved as the shot comes through. Final 10 now counting down. Dr. Cheddar has the lane to shoot. He takes it and ties us with 7 seconds remaining.
Amazing play. Cheddar goes, gets the boost, and is able to bump and still make the shot. I thought that bump was going to throw Cheddar off of the trajectory, but Cheddar's still able to, lock in, ice in their code to make that shot.
Very little time remaining. Do either bot have time to get this one up? No, the ball stays grounded just for the time being. We have our first overtime of the tournament between these two bots as Dr. Cheddar gets around it, has a shot towards net. It's not quite on target. Dr. Cheddar got a little bit over anxious, trying to get a challenge towards the back wall, as now it is stuck in the corner. Dr. Cheddar going backwards actually hits it into Zero Brain Cells. Opportunity now for a transition shot if he's able to recover. Getting one touch, Dr. Cheddar to challenge early. 20 seconds in, no kickoff goal to be seen. Dr. Cheddar has an avenue. It's going to be touched away towards the back wall. Great save now coming through from Zero Brain Cells. Little boost to work with, has it towards net. It'll be cleared out wide by Dr. Cheddar into the corner as it pops up high in the air. Zero Brain Cells to circle underneath it. Shot towards the post, cleared out wide by Dr. Cheddar once again. Actually, we're approaching the minute mark. Both bots looking extremely strong. Just a matter of seeing which is going to make the first mistake. It might be here from Zero Brain Cells, but instead Dr. Cheddar backs off. Cleared all the way back downfield by Zero Brain Cells. He looks to have a transition opportunity, but instead goes up for the pinch, trying to pass it to the teammate, but there is no teammate as this is a one-on-one tournament, and Dr. Cheddar is going to remain patient in net.
And that was scary there, right? Because we saw that's Dr. Cheddar's weak point on where the ball's like on the corner pockets. Ooh, let's see. I was pretty sure Cheddar had 100 in the tank, but didn't commit there. Oh, close save. That was actually going to be right over. Able to hit it outside. These pinches from Zero Brain Cells, if they were successful, actually might have worked against them. Oh,
but
and
now
the whiff.
Dr. Cheddar is going to bring it all the way back downfield. He has the freebie available. Dr. Cheddar onto match and tournament point as Zero Brain Cells got a little bit too far upfield, and he'll end up stealing away an extremely close game. Dr. Cheddar's only one game away from being the tournament winner.
Yeah, and that was incredible there. You saw a whiff, which I guess maybe, Zero Brain Cells was going too fast, miscalculated. But, Cheddar definitely takes advantage, sees an open net. It's going to sink that shot every time.
As an incredible showing there from both bots that time. A very close game. It was not as close in game number 1, and now we have ourselves a 2-game lead for Dr. Cheddar. He's extremely close to closing this out. The programmer has to be sitting on the edge of his seat. I am certain of it as we load up here for game number 3 straight off kickoff. Zero Brain Cells taking his time. It'll be Dr. Cheddar sending down into the corner. And once again, Brain Cells looking for that pitch. Actually, it said stays grounded this time. I totally thought the pitch was going to come through, but instead, it'll be Dr. Cheddar to clear it downfield. He's got himself an open net. The ball will slowly roll on through to the back of the net. Dr. Cheddar with the lead early.
Yeah, and that overtime match was impressive. I kept thinking to myself, whoa, these bots have gotten really good, or we swapped them out for some actual players.
This has been such a closely contested matchup as now Zero Brain Cells looks to make something happen in response to that 1-0. To that first goal, I should say. But unfortunately, missed touch here. He's going to try to clear it off of the back ball, but Dr. Cheddar remaining patient doesn't quite have the angle from what we've seen that typically would be free for Dr. Cheddar, but instead it's going to be Zero Brain Cells to bring it back downfield.
Yeah, so one thing I noticed there too, actually, is if you look at Dr. Cheddar, right after the kickoff, they were kind of both in a stalemate. Cheddar actually disengaged after not being able to position itself correctly. It went for the safer route and just went to protect the net, which is incredibly smart.
I absolutely agree on that one. I mean, no arguments I can make against it. Zero Brain Cells, unfortunately, send it on back to his own net. 2-0 now in favor of Dr. Cheddar. That is heartbreaking on the side of Zero Brain Cells, but the programmer for Dr. Cheddar has to be absolutely loving what they are seeing thus far.
Yeah, so we didn't have that in our script, but we're enjoying it.
Absolutely, and I'm certain that they didn't have it in their code script as well, but Zero Brain Cells is looking to possibly get a first on the board. They're going to play nice and patient. This seems to be where Dr. Cheddar struggles a little bit. Shot towards net around Dr. Cheddar, and Brain Cells once again, this multiplied from 0 to 0, but still more than nothing here, is able to take it through and get a 1 on the board to his name.
Yeah, and that's where Dr. Cheddar needs to, a big area of improvement, right? Because overall, the rest of the gameplay is pretty solid, but, you know, maybe it comes out to, hey, I need to put my bot in a competition and test and see what's, you know, where it could improve upon. And like now you're starting to see, you know, these smaller little flaws, but it's great that they're, you know, obviously playing right now. That way for December, for the final, you know, since they submitted their bot early, they get to continuously improve and, you know, honestly just test their code.
Could not agree more. Zero Brain Cells brings it all the way back downfield after a great couple of defensive challenges. The shot just too far wide, and you know, just as you were saying, it'd be a great area of improvement on the side of Dr. Cheddar for those side reads. I do also believe it would be an area of improvement as well for Zero Brain Cells, as Dr. Cheddar does get the goal. The shots from that close cut angle in the corner have not quite been as accurate as you would hope out of your bots, but Dr. Cheddar just has the free aerial goal as Zero Brain Cells, an unfortunate touch towards the backward, and right now Dr. Cheddar is in full control.
You have 3 minutes, and like we saw last match, a lot can happen in a short period of time. Gets out dribbled, but rushes the shot. Not able to close that in. Zero Brain Cells missing that opportunity.
It was so close, and that would have been massive towards fighting back in this game. Comeback efforts have only been stalled for a short amount of time as Dr. Cheddar actually repays the favor of the own goal, putting that one back into his own net. Zero Brain Cells will take that confidently, and now we have ourselves a 1-goal ball game.
Yeah, and it looked like Cheddar, obviously, with the ball going back to their net. Cheddar is like, let me front flip, right? That's what I do when I need to go back to defensive position. And unfortunately, the ball was front flip.
Kickoff, Dr. Cheddar has an early challenge as Zero Brain Cells is going to turn around to try to take it into the own corner where the ball is safe for the time being. Likes that boost and ends up taking the pinch, however, it's towards his own net. Has an extra touch around Dr. Cheddar. Dr. Cheddar sent back. Opportunity for Zero Brain Cells. Shot not quite on target, and once again, in search of that pinch, it's a light one, puts it in front of net. If he can circle back, he might have a shot. Takes it around one defender, but doesn't have the shot on target. Now Dr. Cheddar all the way back downfield on the full clear. Actually decides to backflip and plays a little more patient. The extra touch does not help him out. However, Zero Brain Cells centers it out by accident. The pass is picture perfect, and Dr. Cheddar will reap the rewards.
Yeah, like we were talking, you know, Zero Brain Cells going for those pinches. A lot of those end up being centers, especially when you're playing ones. It'd be very careful of where that pinch or where you're going to be placing that ball after you make contact.
That is brutal for Zero Brain Cells. Again, another close game and another lead extended on the side of Dr. Cheddar. He's been the bot Dr. Cheddar has been surgical, but to this point, it make it 5. That one, he simply waits patiently, takes his time, and executes to perfection. That is a simple procedure for the doc.
Yeah, and Zero Brain Cells, every time they take the ball towards their net, just a recipe for disaster.
You're correct. Unfortunately for Zero Brain Cells, that has been how it's played out. In search of another one here, he is going to get the shot. It is going to roll in. He's still got a lot of work to do, but keeps on shaving away from this lead. It's able to defend and possibly win a couple more kickoffs. We could find ourselves in a tied ball game once again. 90 seconds is more than enough time to be able to strike back.
Yeah, and especially when a game of ones, right? It's kickoffs can change everything. Whoa, right there, we saw Zero Brain Cells just completely smoke Cheddar to that ball.
That was interesting. It was definitely different from what we've seen in other moments of time throughout this match. Zero Brain Cells takes his time, he gets bumped into the ball, but actually does not benefit Dr. Cheddar this time around. The bot got a little bit impatient to get out of the way as he's not going to dribble it down into his own path. Zero Brain Cells now on the follow. Up high, taking an early shot, has it towards the far post, and we have a 1-goal game, ladies and gentlemen.
And immediately you can tell, wait, this is Cheddar's weakness here, and sure enough, Brain Cells able to close that out. Now, were the kickoffs, are they further apart?
No, they're not. No, the kickoffs are always exactly symmetrical to the other players. So I'm not exactly sure what led to Zero Brain Cells winning it so outright on the previous kickoff. But regardless, no, the positioning of the players on kickoff is identical to not allow for any advantages. But Dr. Cheddar right now has a 2-goal advantage to his name after another patience game, waiting for Brain Cells to center it out.
Yeah, so Brain Cells getting to the ball first, I guess we'll just have to chalk it up to, might have 0 brain cells, but it has 100 heart. So definitely still fighting for every single goal here.
Right off the pick off, 0 brain cells again, just looking to fight back, and it is in that one spot that the Doc had just been struggling a little bit on. Not a high success rate in that corner. Dr. Cheddar simply beats to the ball and actually misflips underneath the ball, oddly enough, as 0 brain cells is able to once again get the game within 1. It is such a closely contested matchup, but right now Dr. Cheddar does have the game in his favor. Is trying to circle around for one last shot to possibly be the dagger. It rolls over towards the backboard, and again it's playing patient, waiting for 0 brain cells, who jumps off the backboard. But now with the final 30 seconds remaining, 0 brain cells has to get a goal, and Dr. Cheddar might have helped him find it. The shot is not quite on target. 0 brain cells has to play patient. Up in the air. Shot to the top corner will tie us up with 19 seconds remaining.
And that is absolutely incredible. Now we're going back to those aerial goals, and this is just punishing Cheddar in that same angle every time.
19 seconds remaining. Any but ball game. Off kickoff. The ball kept extremely neutral. 0 brain cells a challenge early, but he backed up a little too far. Dr. Cheddar on the miss, doesn't have the boost to challenge, and now the final 10 are counted down. As long as the ball stays off the ground, the game will continue until that happens. The ball's popped up in the air. Dr. Cheddar taking his time, has a dribble, but cannot keep the ball off the ground. Overtime, 2 games in a row. The first time, it was Dr. Cheddar to capitalize on it, but off kickoff, it is going to be 0 brain cells bringing it back downfield. Dr. Cheddar with a great save early, and now an opportunity to capitalize in transition. Ball in the midfield. Don't see Dr. Cheddar challenging and send 0 brain cells to bring it back down, but the touch is strong. It might be too strong. Takes it around the side of the net. And I'm not seeing Dr. Cheddar anywhere be found. He's on the aerial challenge, but does not have the angle. It's 50 back downfield. Dr. Cheddar low on boost. Shot coming through to the bottom right corner. 0 brain cells still has life in this championship.
What a comeback by 0 brain cells. Able to clutch out and get that goal there. I was expecting Cheddar to really be ready to score once Brain Cells took it across the net. However, just didn't have enough boost, peeled away, and took that, that 50 that worked against it, and, 0 Brain Cells, ice in their code. Ice in their code.
It is not impossible right now. Like this series is far from over. We've seen back-to-back overtimes. These bots have been programmed to 2 very high levels. And we're starting to see where specifically these bots, where we thought had no holes, do have a couple of holes. Cheddar looking a little bit more like Swiss, if you will, along that back corner, like when the ball is almost parallel to the goal along that back line. But we've seen with 0 brain cells, the holes in its game are this right here. Taking a chance at a pinch regardless of the angle, because now it'll set up Dr. Cheddar. Assuming Dr. Cheddar challenges early, it actually will not do so. It's going to be 0 brain cells on the challenge, but I love that we've been able to see further and further where the bots succeed and where they don't. And now right there, 0 brain cells succeeding with those aerial goals to go up early here in game number 4.
Yeah, and that's something interesting to point out too, right? Is that we see how Zero Brain Cells, does go for the pinch, does have that vulnerability of, putting the ball across the net. However, Cheddar does play a bit more passive, so it's fine. Especially if, Cheddar doesn't have a lot of boost.
It's quite interesting to see, what exactly is going through the different bots programming. As right now, Cheddar has an opportunity. He simply muscles the ball on through. That is a beautiful play on the side of Dr. Cheddar. Unfortunate miss from Zero Brain Cells, but we very early on have a tied game, and I could not be happier with how these two teams have, for how these two bots have performed so far. This is the grand final that these programmers deserve.
Absolutely. Oh, looks like a free goal or a miss. Nice, and Cheddar able to make it happen there. Thankfully, because it was inside the net, right? If it was outside, then, now we find that flaw again. Right, Cheddar should be here in position.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zero Brain Cells, the program is you have to change just ever so slightly. Instead of going for all the touches, you have to change the angle of which the car approaches the ball. Dr. Cheddar is afforded another free shot on net. I can imagine, if Zero Brain Cells was programmed in a way to where those pinches weren't as common, or if the touches being sent back in front of its own net were not as common, we might honestly have a one-way series going back the opposite way. But instead, we have ourselves a very competitive series where Dr. Cheddar's just been simply playing the patience game, waiting for the mistakes to come through from Zero Brain Cells, and taking full advantage of them whenever they come about.
Yeah, and I think this right here is where Cheddar really excels, is after the kickoff game. It does wait. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Cheddar does, there are some really good 50s that work in Cheddar's favor, but that, that patience does, work against it. On some of those 50s, it just needs to commit.
He does have the lead right now, so it is treating him well. It's a light touch at the midfield line, has another, and looking to possibly drove around Zero Brain Cells. Zero Brain Cells can take his time. He's got plenty of boost to work with. It might have a transition opportunity as Dr. Cheddar committed far upfield. Touches towards the backboard. Zero Brain Cells going to take his time, trying to line up a shot. This is where Dr. Cheddar has struggled, but Zero Brain Cells doesn't have the shot on net. It was a great opportunity to find ourselves in a tied ball game. Instead, Zero Brain Cells is going to bring it back down to the corner. It's going to be a shot opportunity now coming through from the dock. He doesn't have the angle, and the ball is still going to trickle on through. The save is unable to come through. Dr. Cheddar makes it 3 to go.
And there, I was actually worried Dr. Cheddar was going to end up saving the ball, because like you see here, the car went inside the net. It's trying to get out, but thankfully, looks like it missed. And, was able to secure that goal. 2-goal lead, and we're just about at halftime.
That's an extremely close call, and Dr. Cheddar right now well and truly in control of this game. But as we've seen in games past of this matchup, there is absolutely no way of predicting how this one could wrap up. Next thing you know, it could be tied up, or, it could be 5-1 per se. Anything can happen between these two bots, just a matter of seeing what exactly will transpire, as there's a great early challenge there from Dr. Cheddar, and Zero Brain Cells is going to collect this go around the mid boost. I expected the collecting the mid boost, but I got to remember, I'm dealing with bots here and not humans who are going to end up picking that up. So my apologies on that front, but right now, Dr. Cheddar's just going to take the ball around, ends up pitching him back towards his own half. He's going to circle back towards the net. Now Zero Brain Cells shot staved out wide once again. Time trickling away. This is less goals than what we're used to seeing, and that is favoring Dr. Cheddar.
Oh, looks like he has an opportunity here. Rush the shot, unfortunately. These pinches, too, by Cheddar are very interesting because there's really no angle for you to score a goal. Oh, Brain Cells jumped a little too early. Maybe he's able to close it out. Cheddar. And that's 1 in for Brain Cells. And it looks like another factor, too, is once we have the bots and see them that they have a ton of boost, they speed up, and it's like they can't recover fast enough.
I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't take any Brain Cells to be physical, as Zero Brain Cells actually circled back off the miss and just made head-on contact, a direct collision with Dr. Cheddar, and it ends up benefiting Zero Brain Cells. Is now off kickoff. It's another opportunity. Save off the backboard. Zero Brain Cells is going to have to recover. Dr. Cheddar, shot opportunity to extend the lead once again, finding his way to the back of the net, and there is only 1 minute and 14 seconds separating us from a champion.
And right there, we saw Cheddar, was able to land behind that boost. Boost that was in between them and the ball, picked it up, and, basically beat Zero Brain Cells out. But if, that boost had not been there, I'd almost wager that, Cheddar would have just stayed back and played defensive.
Absolutely, and there goes Zero Brain Cells once again, looking for that pinch after the kickoff. He actually dusted Dr. Cheddar to the ball there, which is quite interesting. I'm guessing they have the diagonal kickoff programmed a little bit differently, but once again, Dr. Cheddar is afforded that opportunity with a lead now being 3. It is hard for me to see whether or not a comeback could be in the works. Right now, it looks like Dr. Cheddar is going to shut down any and all chances of that happening. Great stuff right now from Dr. Cheddar. He's up 3, under a minute remaining. This looks like the series ender.
Yeah, and you see there, right, with Zero Brain Cells not able to recover or keep possession of the ball. Obviously, Cheddar's waiting, but here, again, with it being ones, right, a kickoff goal is all you need, and what, 2-3 seconds later, it's only a 2-goal game.
This is the grand final that all of us hoped for, really. I mean, we had seen sweeps in every single series up until this specific series. We hadn't seen any overtimes, we've seen 2. This is exactly what at least I have wanted. I'm certain the program has wanted as well. They wanted to see the bots perform to their highest possible potential, and we're getting that right here. As Zero Brain Cells is trying to make something happen, there is not much time remaining in this game. Another shooting opportunity comes through, but it's not quite on target, and Zero Brain Cells looking for the pinch. It's light, but it is over the net. However, time is going away, and the clock is certainly not going to slow down. Zero Brain Cells is able to collect boost and has a lane to work with, but it is shut down immediately by the Doctor. Zero Brain Cells in the air, adjusting, great shooting opportunity, drops it back down, and with 11 seconds left, this is still possible.
Amazing. First time we see, bot goes up in the air, self-corrects with the aerial, and gets that touch to sink that ball right in the net. 11 seconds, 1-goal game. It just takes one kickoff.
That's a kickoff. It's kept neutral. Is there enough time remaining right now? Dr. Cheddar simply circling around the ball. Both players are. Neither is able to make contact. Cheddar hits it away from Zero Brain Cells. It stays grounded, and the winner and champion is Dr. Cheddar.
Absolutely amazing series. We had an overtime. Zero Brain Cells able to come back and, put up a really good fight. Overall, to all the programmers out there, great job with your bots. This was incredibly fun to watch. And I hope you were taking notes, right? Because as we were watching these matches game over game, you start identifying all these things and, seeing areas of improvement, but also, preparing for December. You want to make your bot as good as possible.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. That was a fantastic time all around. Juice, any last things for the programmers that competed in this and are competing in December?
No, just, congratulations. Best of luck. And as always, here with you through the Army National Guard, if you ever want to pursue programming, like at a computer science course or degree through your university, you can actually serve in the Guard part-time and get your school paid for. That way you can pursue your passion and, make some really incredible programs out there.
Absolutely. I second that notion entirely. It has been a great experience. Thank you to Skillquest for putting this on. Thank you to the Army National Guard for sponsoring this. Juice, it's been a pleasure sharing the booth with you today, but we're going to head off to Corbin from Skillquest to close out the stream.
Hey, everybody. First of all, I want to say that was a great tournament. So this is Corbin from Skillquest. I actually produced the course that all the students just took to learn how to program these bots. That was super impressive. Honestly, November was a pretty quick turnaround to start the course all the way to get to the quality of bots we just watched. So big congrats to Dr. Cheddar. Obviously, keep making improvements to push toward competing in that December tournament where we were hoping to see a lot more competition, a lot more entries. Anyway, I just think those were some of the best bots we've ever seen. I mean, there was some pretty crazy patience we saw out there. And some attempted double touches. I'm not sure that I've ever seen that from from a bot before, at least one of the beginner programs. So yeah, everybody should be super proud of themselves. Thank you for participating. See you in December. Big shout out to the Army National Guard for sponsoring this. Again, their link is in the chat, in the Twitch chat. And I think if I were going through school right now and trying to think about what I'm doing next, the big thing I would be thinking is I don't want to leave any options unexplored. So just check it out. Click the link and figure out if that is something that you would be interested in. The benefits are pretty awesome. Obviously, I don't want to be speaking too much for Juice here. He's the expert on it, being a Guard member himself. But thank you, everybody, for participating. And yeah, I'll hand it back to McMaster and Juice to close it out.
I appreciate that greatly, Corbin. Thank you so much. This was a great showing all around. Again, shout out to all the guys all the students who programmed their bots today, and they have time to show it up again a second time in December. So be on the lookout for that event come December. Make sure you follow Skillquest on Twitch. Turn on that bell so you get all the notifications. So then when December comes around, you guys can certainly know when it is the time to tune in for the next tournament. Congrats again to Dr. Cheddar and the programmer behind it. We're gonna wrap it on up for tonight. Everyone out there watching us, thank you so much once again for joining us. Congrats to the programmers, and we will see you guys in a month's time. Take care.